All right, good morning, everybody, and welcome back to True Crime Loser. I hope you're doing well. So, I'm in my new place. We love it. I'm trying to figure out the best area to film the show from, and I don't think this is it. The street noise is pretty loud. I figured this would be my spot, but now that I'm doing it, the street directly to my left is pretty loud. So we'll keep figuring out. I also gotta get a rug and some of that sound foam to cut down on the echo wherever I'm gonna do it. So just bear with me. I wanted to do a video today. First, Jussie Smollett got indicted by the special prosecutor, Dan Webb. It took a fucking year, but he is back with 6 charges. I don't think they're gonna arrest him. Wouldn't that be a circus if they go to LA, wherever he is, and like make a huge show of arresting him, throw him in the Chicago paddy wagon and bring him back? He's due in court February 24th. That lawyer that he has, God knows only what she has planned up her sleeve. There's always something. So I am extremely interested now that it has gotten back going. I think public interest of this case, or of the Smollett case, has waned pretty bad. I don't blame everyone. It just took forever. But like I said, special prosecutor came back, 6 charges. Now everything gets going. But today's video is going to be on the body cam footage taken when law enforcement showed up in July in Chandler, Arizona, to the house where Lori Daybell's brother Alex shot and killed Lori Daybell's 4th husband, Charles. And law enforcement showed up to a shooting call. They get there, they pull out Alex, who had shot Charles. They sit him on the curb. And the cop goes, "How did this get to this? How did this happen?" And I think this is an interesting chunk of footage because, just a real quick background if you happen to just land on this video. Lori and Chad Daybell are in Hawaii. Lori is a cult leader that thinks she's God, that's trying to train warriors for the New Jerusalem. Chad, her new husband, is a dystopian Mormon novelist. Both of their spouses died recently in suspicious ways. Lori's kids have been missing for months. Her youngest son had autism, and they had a service dog. And this morning, Inside Edition did a story about how the company they got their service dog from, a day or two before the kids went missing, Lori brought back her son's autistic service dog. He brought it back to the company and said, "Yeah, we don't need this dog anymore." And the guy was like, "Why? I thought it was working so good." And Lori goes, "It's just too hard to talk about." So there's that. And so the kids have been missing. Everybody's dead. He's a Mormon dystopian novelist. She's a cult freak. They're in Hawaii. I think that's all the background you need to know. But one of the strangest parts about the whole case is how many times law enforcement has come up on their side. Like, someone will die and it's like, "Oh, it was natural causes," or like, "All right, massive horn." That's why this area I don't think is gonna work. This is gonna be my little desk area in this place, right here. And I was just like in the last place, I was like, all right, I'll just swing around and do it right in front of the desk. But the street noise, I think, could ruin it. Anyhow, what was I talking about? Yeah, just law enforcement came up on their side a number of times where it's suspicious, where it's like, "What do you mean that was self-defense?" Or, "What, did she die in her sleep? Oh, you didn't do an autopsy because the Mormon dystopian novelist didn't want you to." All right, something cool. But what we do have is this little body cam footage to get the story, more of the detailed story about how Charles the fourth husband was shot and killed by Alex. And it's a weird one. Like a lot of people that shoot someone and then go for the self-defense, he does a lot of, hey, relating. I'm just a nice guy. Yeah, I'm a truck driver. Oh, yeah, just that part of the story seems a little weird, but trust me, it's not. Okay. And so law enforcement, like I said, bring him out to the curb, sit Alex down, and they say, okay, what happened today? How did it come to this? And here's the story. And check it out yourself. I'll try to remember to link the body cam footage in the description, but if I forget, just search Charles Vallow body cam footage. But they sit him down and he's going, how did it come to this? And at the very minimum, the way he tells the story, it sounds like someone trying, I don't know, it sounds like a crappy book. It's like, yeah, he said, leave my sister alone or you'll pay. And there's a lot of like cliche lines like, you'll pay. But anyway, so he goes, how did this get to this? And here, the story is that Lori and her niece, pretty sure the niece is Melanie, unless it's a different niece that we haven't really heard about. So Lori and the niece live in Chandler, Arizona, in the same house. The husband, Charles, the fourth husband, Charles, they're still married at this point, does not live there. He lives in Texas. And I've been to Chandler one time. I went to Chili's there with my 90-year-old grandparents. And I remember before we went, we were all waiting in the living room, and my grandpa comes out wearing dress shoes with white Adidas socks, black shiny dress shoes. And I was like, dang, Grandpa, nice shoes. And he looks down at him and he goes, thank you. My friend gave them to me. He died. And there was a pause, and we were just like, all right, well, let's go to Chili's. And so I have been to Chandler. It's in the Mesa, Phoenix area. I like that area. But anyway, so Lori and the niece apparently live in this place in Chandler, and the kids are there. And Charles, the fourth husband, came from Texas, and it's unclear why he came, possibly to hang out with his kid, grab the kid, go do something fun, but he kind of insinuated that possibly to be there to patch things up with Lori as well. Like their marriage is on the rocks, can't imagine why. She's an insane, murderous cultist, and he isn't, so it's probably a little tough. So Charles is there from Texas, gonna do stuff with the kid, and according to Alex, they got into a domestic dispute earlier in the day. And so he's here from Texas, and coincidentally, Alex is also here or at the place for the night, just to do something. He said to do something fun with his sister. So they invite Charles down. And coincidentally, Alex, the brother, is also there in that time period. And Lori and Charles get into a domestic violence. And this is where the story gets a little bit hard to follow. So he's sitting there on the curb and going, yeah, so they got into a little tussle. Charles and Lori, they got into a little tussle. And then Lori and the niece left, and he does a lot of like, and then she got the bat, and the cop's like, whoa, who is she? And Alex is like, the niece. And the cop is like, I thought the niece left. And it's a lot of like, oh yeah, she did, but then she came back with the kid. They left with the kid, and then she came back, and the cop's like, who came back? And so it's not the easiest. And that could be because he just got hit in the back of the head with a bat. Could be he just shot his brother-in-law. It could be he's lying to cover for his cult leader sister. any number of reasons, but the story as he's sitting there on the curb doesn't really come out too smooth. And the cop is going, all right, who are you talking about? And he's like, oh, yeah, my sister. And so to simplify it a little bit, there's a domestic tussle. What it sounds like is there's a domestic tussle. Alex kind of steps in a little bit and is like, hey, you guys calm down. And then the niece the niece goes and gets her baseball bat. I don't know why she has a baseball bat. I don't know if she plays or if it's just for protection or if she just likes to swing it once in a while. I don't know. So she goes and gets her baseball bat, according to Alex, and, quote, pokes Charles. So just imagine, Charles, the brother, is in town from Texas to hang out with his son, gets into a fight with crazy Lori, and then that niece comes out with a baseball bat and just like pokes him a little bit. I don't know what that would do. So then, according to Alex and the body cam footage, Charles takes the bat from her. You can't blame him. You can't just go and poke a guy with a bat and expect him to just sit there and take it. He had poking him. Can't just poke a guy, huh? So anyway, he takes the bat. And I guess this is the point where the niece and Lori decide, you know what, let's give Charles some space. We poked him. He's got a bat. This isn't going well. Let's give him a little space. So according to Alex, the niece and Lori and the kid, they take off. So now it's Charles with a baseball bat and Alex alone in the house. First, so they're in the living room, according to Alex, together, and Alex said something like, and this is like where to me it sounds really just made up, like a cliche line. He was like, you better be nice to my sister or you'll pay. Or what did he say? Why don't you stay? Da-da-da. Yeah, something like that. Like, you're going to pay. And he goes, this is Alex talking about them just being together in the house. I was in the living room. I turned around and he hit me in the back of the head with the bat. So according to Alex, they were just in the living room together, and Alex was like, you better leave my sister alone or you'll pay, all right? And then he turned around, which that's the number one rule. If you're in like a standoff with someone that has a bat who's recently been poked, you don't just go, okay, all right, hey, you got the bat. I'm going to look this way for a bit. So let me know. And so according to Alex, he turned around. This guy that was in town to see his kid now turned around and cracked him on the back of the head with the baseball bat. And that caused Alex to go into his bedroom. So he was not hurt enough that he was unconscious or dazed, laying on the floor, right? According to him, when he got hit with the bat, he said, okay, nope. And he went to his room to get his gun. He has a concealed carry permit, and he always carries, he told the cop. So he goes into his room to get the gun. The cop asks a pretty decent question. Why not stay in your room? Why not go get your gun for protection from the bat-wielding fourth husband? Why not call us in the room? Why not grab your gun and just bounce out of there and call us? And Alex said, it didn't occur to me. Shoot. Didn't occur to me. Figured... Didn't think about it. So he goes back out with the gun. So now it's Charles, the fourth husband, with the gun. Charles, the fourth husband with the bat, versus Alex, the brother with the gun, in the living room. And Alex said he came out and said to Charles, what's your problem? Now he's got a gun. What's your problem? And the way he tells this part too, he goes, I said, what's your problem? And then I said, put down the gun, and he didn't. And it's almost like he was going to say, I said, put down the gun, he didn't, and I shot him. But he remembers that he's talking to a police officer, and so he like adds in, he came at me in the last minute. So he's like, I said, what's your problem? And then I said, put down the bat, and he didn't. Or he came at me. Of course he came at me. And then I shot him. There's that little like, oh, I better tell the cop that he came at me. And then around a certain point, Lori and the niece come back, and the audio cuts out, sadly, when they're talking about when the cop's talking to Lori. It's like Lori comes up and her face is blurred out. Whoever put the body cam footage together didn't think that Lori's part would be relevant. Probably didn't think that everyone that she knew was going to die and she was going to end up in Hawaii with missing kids. Tiny bubbles. But, and so then, I don't know, the cop kind of walks around, briefs his colleagues on the whole thing. But if you just look at the story that Alex, if you just raise up a little bit and look at from kind of a different vantage point, here's what happened. The brother came into town. It's hard for me to believe that it was just a random, that Charles went nuts with the bat. You know, so many bizarre things have happened with the kids and Chad's wife Tammy and the whole thing. It's hard for me not to think at this point that it's all connected, and maybe they planned to kill Charles. You know, they invite him into town. They invite Alex into town. Maybe Lori purposely gets into a little bit of a fight to get that established. You know, the niece comes out and literally pokes him. That's the phrase that Alex used. Literally pokes him with a bat. Like you would say, all right, we gotta rile him up a little bit if we want him to do something where it's enough for us to shoot him because we're warrioring up for the new Jerusalem. We got, poke him a little bit. He's too calm. Poke him out a little bit. And so I guess one way you could look at the whole thing is just a trashy, crazy family that just got into a crazy fight, and it's just a big coincidence that also everyone else died, and Alex went on to die himself a few months later. Or it is Lori being like, all right, Alex, I'm gonna bring Charles into town, and we got, the plan is we're gonna fight and then get him poked up with a bat, and then, out of self-defense, you're gonna shoot him. Maybe something like that. I don't know. It is hard to get a read so far, but totally bizarre. Chad and Lori are still in Hawaii, just hanging out at the gated community. Like I said, we love the place. I'll probably do a little tour just because I built up that I was moving for so long. Give you guys a little tour once we get set up. We still got boxes and stuff everywhere. And I really need to find a new spot to settle in to do the show. It's harder than I thought it was going to be, but I'll probably do it over there with less of the street noise. But anyway, I wanted to do a video, get on here, say hi to you guys. Hopefully everything's going well this week, and we'll just keep following these stories. See you next time. Why? Diving why? Last question, baby.